when you touch someone, especially a new baby, the reaction to stimuli, again, now I'm actually putting a lot of force into the bowl. So like the gyro, if I spin it, do you see how the water counters? So if I'm lifting up here, the water's opposite. See that? Well, we're 75% fluid, so there's always going to be that counter. So if I touch like this, now the water is affected obviously by the friction from the table, the bowl, my hands. So if I go like this, I'm going to get a different, more fluid reaction from the water than if I go like this. I have to put much more effort to get that ping versus going through here. Now, this is an inanimate object. So if I pull back the ball here, I get a very fluid movement, but it's very fixed. So 1, 1, 1, 1. This to me is a migraine. So when the body's throwing out a pulse, the way the pulse goes through, and if it comes into a certain part of the area of the body where there's tension, this is where the pulse is much more intensive and repetitive, and to me that's a headache. Does that make sense? So, but this object was made by a robot. It's very, very fixed. Everything is exact. It's not even made by man where there's a little bit of an imperfection. We're made by man. So each one of us, in a sense, has an imperfection. So to expect you to carry a baby like she carried a baby is just a complete insane argument. There will be lots of similarities, I get that, but they'll be completely different. You'll have different birth weights, sex. I mean, there's so many variables that come into your body fluid mass or your fat mass, completely different, you know. Size and shapes of her boobs, we can go on and on and on. So, to look at basic anatomy or diagnoses, so diagnosis to me is a pregnancy. Okay, a pregnancy at 15 weeks is different than a pregnancy at 16 weeks. A pregnancy carrying an 8-pound baby versus a 4-pound baby is completely different. A mom that's had a baby before versus not having a baby before is going to be completely different. You know, different husbands, different, you know, there are so many, again, things that can come into play. So to sit there and expect, sorry, Mozart's getting a little intense. So to expect and touch a person like they're going to react like the last person you just worked on, whether it is cerebral palsy, rare genetic disorders, chromosome deletions, traumas, whatever, you're really doing that person a disservice and yourself a disservice. So even though someone might be tight, let's say, they'll never be fixed like this. Again, see how each string is put on by a robot. Everything is made by, so if I were to make this, there would be slight imperfections because I'm human. These two bars would never be perfectly aligned. Even the way that this board is made, if I used poplar or an oak, there'd be a curve to the wood that takes this information differently. So basically what I'm trying to say is the human body is really just pure physics or mathematics. So if you go to touch someone as if you're looking for a response for the physics of it or the physical mass of a person you're working on versus that, okay, I've got a Caucasian white woman, she's 35, she's had a heart attack. You know what I mean? People come to me, I don't have write-ups, I don't ask for medical history, I don't ask for anything. God, I should ask for even a liability release, I don't even do that half the time. Oh, no, it's actually very easy. I'm actually, as far as that's concerned, I have a $1 million, $3 million policy for this table, and I have a business, so if you trip out my door, which don't do it just because I put it out there, I have a business insurance as well as personal liability. So, and two, what are you doing that you're going to hurt a child? You know, yeah. There's no liability. I mean, the worst thing that could happen is a kid falls off my table, and I haven't lost one yet, although Aaron came pretty darn close the other day. Within seconds, he was like, quick, grab those pants. So this is very similar to the baby. And I'm going to just fix my camera. Sorry. hopefully now this is going to answer your question, and I'm going to take it completely away from the chest cavity to change the complexity. So you'd asked me about the rotation of the chest, okay, and the bum. But what I'm going to show you is that everything rotates, okay? So even though I'm, quote, working on your hand, also notice how you're sitting for just this moment, but more so for where your elbow's at. So, and again, you're an adult, so you have more, quote, fixed areas. I'm dealing with more of the silver balls than the bowl with you because you're an adult. The baby, I'm dealing with more bowls than I am the silver balls, unless the baby has problems. So see how I'm looking to see how the wrist wants to rotate in relationship to the elbow. Is that getting clearer? But also, the reason I asked you to pay attention to the way you're sitting is because how you handle your shoulder will start to change as well. So I'm just sitting here working on, again, the hand. Now notice I'm not doing anything specific with the hand. I'm really just like I'm touching the bowl with water. Just feel that now? How I'm just going in, looking for response, I come back. So I'm not sitting here obviously going like this, looking for you to ping like water, but I'm just going with you. And really there's no difference right now from where your system ends and I start. If that were the case, I would be like this. See, now I'm implying my will, even if it's in good intentions, on your system. But here, I'm touching your hand just like a baby. And see right there, the elbow's starting to shift. You see that? Right there. So now your clavicles, right there, getting stuck. But see how just that roll on the elbow is even starting to affect your neck muscles. There we go. So that's the roll from the bum. See that? See how I'm just... This would be no difference in me picking up the baby. See now here, you see how that's difficult. But right here, see how I can roll on your elbow. So I'm doing it with the wrist, but see how, and see now the belly, the baby's gone. See that? So there we go. Yeah. See now I'm getting more of the bowl of the baby than I am getting the silver balls. See how the physics in you are changing. So now feel, see now even, excuse my French, the breast tissue and all that are just all acting like the water. So now I'm coming to like bringing her to sit. There we go. See? See now how? Now to bring your arm up, that's bringing a baby to sitting. So now she's just getting at this stage now too. If you could feel her, she's so light. This is a counterbalance through the pelvis is starting to happen. And this is where you've seen me do it. Am I sitting up or am I laying down? But before, did you feel it? How you just, it was very heavy?
Yeah.
So now, so what I'm going to do now is go into the rotation of the hand. So see how rotation isn't as nice through the middle of the finger as it is through this hand. See, the ring finger. See how I can rotate here? The rotation's different. You feel that? So that's what I'm working on now. And that's when you saw when she got up, how her head rotated so much nicer one side than the other. No? You want me to do it? Okay, I'll do it. So now notice the difference. Look at me rolling her to the left. Look at the difference of rolling to the right. See the difference how the head even wants to rotate and take that rotation versus the left. She's still figuring it out. And by the way, I'm the same way. You can see in my head when I rotate this way versus here. There's a quicker acceleration this way than this way. It's just the way, you know, I'm a right-handed person. There we go. So now I've got that pull through the center. So now again, I'm here just like a baby's head. See, I can bring the arm up. There we go. See, now the shoulder is coming out. There's a little bit of force there. So with that, I'll just, that works. There we go.
Is that similar to what you were doing for, was it grammar board and that you were working on piano?
I was, but what I'm doing is actually, this is no difference. Me working on her hand was just working with Arlie as a baby. Do you see the difference? How this is bringing the baby up to sitting. I'll see if I can show you. I don't see right there. See how she's rotating on the bum? Real nice. Oh my goodness, that was something that was just not expected, was it? But I was looking for the counterbalance in the elbow. So now,
So the rotation can be any part of your body.
it should be in every part of your body. When it's not, then we have a problem. So right now, look at all of this. Look at me bringing your hand up, okay? So now curl your left toe. See, you can't sit up. See, I can't bring the arm up. See the rotation, feel that?
Yeah.
Let the foot go. Feel how I can bring?
Yeah. Change.
It's a system.
Yeah.
So when a baby starts to lose in the counterbalance because of something like that, see now you can do something that's difficult. That's why you can give birth. Babies don't do stuff that's difficult or hurt them. And that's why, you know, they're just here to play and react to stimuli. But what I wanted to show you how, if you start looking at the principles of movement, me lifting your hand up is no different than bringing the baby up to sitting or playing with the head function than the wrist function. It's about the efficiency of movement through this system, not about what body part I'm working on. Does that make more sense now?
Yes.
Does that make? Yeah. So that's where people always say with me, sorry. Well, how do you know? How do whatever? Again, I'm not that I'm working on the index finger. Obviously, I know that I am, but when you start looking at the body, is how the movement is efficient or inefficient. That's when you get the things to happen. So now with that, so just feel your arm, and now the other arm.
Yeah. That's really like.
And you see how it's, again, it's more of a system?
Yeah.
And then the other arm, you're picking up parts. So,
Yeah.
Sunhai. Does that make sense?
What? Yeah.
Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
So as a child or a person gets bigger, so like if you want, you can just sit here, put your bum here, your back to me. So I'm not going to even change my position, right? So even though a person's, quote, getting bigger, if I look at now the same principle, so if I touch you, okay, let's pretend, okay, is she like water? Or is she doing more tick, 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 you know? So again, there's, at the moment, there's more, quote, silver balls. So I'm just looking to see, I've got my hand here, and again, because she's, gosh, what are you up to now, 21 weeks, 22 weeks?
22.
I'm just doing the same thing as I did with your hands. Notice how I'm just, you see, where do you begin and where do I end? I'm just very lightly touching under the thigh, but I've got her back supported. So to me, I don't see any difference that the wrist is here, this is the palm of the hand, and here are her fingers, as far as me, where I would be touching, just like how I just worked on the hand. Does that make sense? But what I'm interested in is how your ankle is rotating off of this. That's where my So just like I was concentrating, sort of pinging back to your elbow, I'm thinking of your right ankle. Now again, I could do a, quote, faster, more efficient movement lesson. I get that. Right now, I'm trying to explain to you guys just the pure physics of the human body. There we go. See, now I had just like the elbow, I just got the circle starting with the bump. And I know I've mentioned it before, but right now, feel this. And I'm going to tighten my toes now. Feel the difference in my touch.
Yeah.
So let my toes go and see the difference.
It's really gentle.
Yeah. So the organization of my system, and that's where the Feldenkrais comes into play, is just as important. There we go. See now how you have extension with your head?
Yeah.
And you're coming up over your pelvis. So now we can stop. And again, now, is it more like getting like water? See that? That boom, boom, boom? Or, you know. There we go. See how now I can get you to go up over your pelvis.
Oh, that really feels good.
And you haven't breathed like that for a while, so I'm just letting you hang out. And see, now that's where it changes from just learning about the pure physics to knowing how to make neurological changes on somebody.
Yeah.
There you go. So see, now I can start getting you to look back at me if I wanted to. And then come back.
Yeah.
And this is, again, just like I worked with Arlie, sitting up.
Oh, like doing that.
Yeah, do you start to feel how, see, once I'm into your system and the physical properties are working well, look at that, see? Now you're like a big water ball, see? The whole pelvis.
Yeah.
There's no difference between what I'm doing there and this. Do you feel it now? See the bowl of water? And feel, see? She's right there. She's a big bowl of water. So it's just you're working with the mathematical principles of the human body and the basic law of minimum physics. See? And now? There we go. So that's, see, now the baby has more room. So now feel that.
Oh, I can really feel it. Oh, yeah. Hi, my back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Spain.
But if you go right to nature, that minimum, that physics, if you go right there, again, it's not, I wasn't thinking I'm working on a pregnant woman. I'm not thinking that I'm working, you know what I mean? I'm not thinking that I'm working on your butt or your thigh. I'm just looking at just these really simple, basic principles. And when you I just find it's just going back to home. It's going back to nature.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You can't grow a lilac tree in the desert. So to sit there and expect a person to move or function in a certain way without seeing what their properties are, to me, is futile. So to just sit there and touch a person because you appreciate how they feel in your hands, to me it's like playing with roses every day versus thorns. I mean, it's just nice, gentle, you know, and then you feel loved, and then, you know what I mean, and that comes out. But because also as Arlie grows up, or we all grow up, all we're doing is reacting to stimuli. But if you've had a bad experience, like with the hospital, and an ambulance goes by, you know what I mean? Your reaction to that stimuli might be, but if you've got 3 boys, you know, all of a sudden it's like, ooh, fire truck, you know. I used to sit there in Grand Avenue and buy my kids milkshakes and just watch the trains, you know, because I had boys.
Yeah, like now, if when I was like 7, you know, now that you mentioned that, I remember, I was in a car accident with my mom, and that car hit my side. So every time car gets too close, I freak out. I'm like in a tense mode.
Right.
Instead of I scream because I see that car, And
Right.
this happened when I was like 7 years.
And what happens to that kind of stimuli, what it is you don't get to play with it. Oh, let me have an easy accident. Let me have a hard accident, so I can gauge that. So, so as we don't get to play with it, but the more things we get to play with, and that's where a baby is so important. I played with a ball today. I played with beads. I got to touch something soft or slimy. It's great. The less movement vocabulary that they have, that's why now we have such high rates of sensory integration disorder. What the heck? But you've been in this car seat, you've been swaddled, you've been this, and all of a sudden you expect people to be, okay, go be free. It'd be like taking a really conservative person and say, go base jump. You know what I mean? They're like, no, I jump out of a perfectly good plane. And I'm not saying be wild, but I'm just saying it's just, So that's why when people come through my door, I mean, I have a woman today that's got vertebrae missing, lung cancer, brain surgery, lung surgery. She's missing 6 vertebrae. And people are like, can you help me? And I'm like, come get a lesson. Because I'm just going back to, I'm not, looking at all that. Now I know because structurally she's so different, so when she shifts like this, when you don't have these ribs, you're like, that's like a tree taking off half the limbs on the top. And also she doesn't have the clavicle, so they mesh the shoulder in. So I know I have to work more so on her counterbalance for her to counter more here to overcompensate here. Or like if you had rods in your back, well, I can't expect you to do a back bend. So I have to make maybe your feet and knees much more available to movement where the back is stuck because of the rods. Because that energy, this needs someplace to go.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you get people with the rods and stuff, and then they end up with that kind of constant backache because that energy has no place to go. There's some more over here in the chair. She got everywhere. So sit right here. Rihanna, just sit over here. So same thing. I'm just now I know by now though when I touch someone what I'm getting. So I don't have to sit there and go, okay, let me take you to the left, let me take you to the right. I do that more for the person I'm working on so they have more of an awareness of where their system is. But honestly, I mean, I can look at somebody and know, but all I have to do is go literally like this, and that's like, it's like a USB cord. I just go right into somebody's system and go, okay, I've got to work on the knee, this, that, and the other. And people go, how do you know this? It's just practice. But I think it's more so because I have so little judgment over a person's system that I'm open to anything. See now, again, I don't mean to be, I'm using the advantage of her body being different, so instead of being here, I'm using the table to my advantage. So I'm just... with her too, because her arms are very stiff when she's doing this with me. It's okay. I'm gonna do a quickie. Hold on. I will admit when someone's on my table, I can't just use them as instructional tools. I've got to do it. I'll do this to you too, just so you feel. There we go. Feel now already the difference. See, she was too afraid to come backwards, so she didn't. There she goes.
Yeah.
I've fallen back too many times, that's why.
Well, whatever.
No, I think for everybody going back, you know, it's...
What you said about the accident? We got in a car accident when I was like 20. Somebody hit me. I was convinced they weren't going to hit me right up until the moment they hit me. And so I wasn't sore at all, even though it was a horrible accident. But every time I hear squealing tires now, my hands go numb for a second.
Yeah, that's...
And my toes, my hands and my feet do this like tingly numb thing for an instant, and I go, and my girlfriend is a doctor, she goes, don't tell your doctor that you'll get your license revoked.
Oh, really?
She's like, that's a panic attack, you shouldn't be doing that in drunk. I was like, it's like for a split second, but it's since that accident. When I hear squealing tires, I am no longer convinced they're not going to hit me.
Psychological.
Well, it's not psychological. It still was a life
not
event.
really, but
Psychological's like when you're going, oh, she was late. She must be in the hospital. Then, you know, you need help. But
You could have.
so feel just that little bit. Does that make it sense to you, though?
yes. I totally felt the release. Okay.
Now, you reacted differently because I didn't do your arm first.
Uh-huh.
Oh.
I did the arm first, so now more of it was available.
Yeah, I can see that.
So, because she still was like this with her hands. But anyway, I'm going to put Jenna on.
Yeah.
I think about now when I go to bed
Something
too,
just
you
popped.
told me to just let your
When I got
arm
up, something just
go.
Right.
I'm like, oh, just,
Yeah.
and then I go to sleep.
Yeah. So again, just pretend like Claudia's wrist was here or this is Arlie's head. I mean, there's no difference with how I approach. Now, just from this, I can tell the tension that she has right here through the shoulders, which could still have to be from where her arm was, quote, taped, but it also just could be. So again, for me to assume that it all goes back to when she had her arm worked on, you know, that's not doing her any service and it's not doing anything for me.
Oh, breastfeeding.
But-
Because
but
when
see-
I was
but-
breastfeeding,
Yeah.
that part of it.
But see how the sway here and her going back and forth is very minimal. So her counterbalance as a baby has really been hindered. So with that, I'm going to just, quote, change the lecture. So, because, well, I'll keep it the same, but anyway, just going to shoot your back. Okay. So now,
Thank you.
so, some people go top of the head. I don't like it. I like, so if I come right here, see how there's very little sway in her system. So no offense, we should all be like trees. So if I go like this, see, do you feel it? So I'm just going to go here. So again, instead of my hands here, I'm just, it's that two. Yeah, now you know why Claudia loves so much and stuff. There we go. See, just that little bit. It's just her system's going. Oh.
It's crazy that just that little bit of touch can trigger.
Because again, if I touch this water hard, the water's just going to fly all over the place. I'm no longer dealing with the properties of the water. The water is against the wall, it's whatever. Well, it's the same thing. If I just sit there and just, you know, smack Jenna around, you know, she's going to be like, what the heck? Michelle just beat me up. I don't want to come back to her. But I'm keeping her, you know, fluid. I'm right there. See now how you see the same thing that you saw in you, she couldn't come over her pelvis. Just, that's what I worked on with you. So I'm just holding her here because she's not used to this. See the difference? There she goes. Now, I'm, again, just going with the law of minimum physics. I really didn't move my hands with this. Now I've changed the pressure from palm heel to thumb to fingers. I've used my hand. See how my hand goes in a circle, just like I'm asking her pelvis? So now I can slide over here. Now my whole arm's going to stay on the back of her just to give her, there's a big difference between me doing this with no hand or me doing this. See how her vestibular knows that she can lean on me, literally and physically. Again, she's never really been in this position. I'm just going to let her breathe and hang out. Right here. Feel that? So what it is, now look at the difference. I can bring the shoulder back here. I come right here. And yeah, have a nice day. Now again, I could force her. Why? So now I'm going to keep that spot. I'm just going in the whole length of the spine with my thumb on the left side, saying, all right there. I'd really like your appreciation. So I'm lifting and going like a rotation, but through the pelvis. I'm not going side to side through my thumb like this. I'm counterbalancing through the pelvis. Does that make sense? So when I push here, see how she's over to her left thumb, to the right, and I'm using her. So now I can come back here and now look at the difference just from that. There we go. So now what she hasn't done is any kind of head movement. So I'm going to sit there and free up the head from the spine. So just from doing that with the head, and again, this is where I'm like, oh, let's just see if that made a difference. So see already now how the head can move separately from. And that's where that baby's rotation, rotating to the right, to the left. See how? So now if I do this, see how? The rotation over the chest. So here's a more vertical view of what you were saying with the baby. So see how her chest rotates, and I can rotate the head. Now you want to see the difference?
So that's okay if you do that, hold, like grab her head,
right.
Rotate it.
Right, but I'm not grabbing the head, I'm just literally like...
Touching it, okay.
I'm just going for a ride.
Okay.
But watch the difference, I've worked on this side. See? She has no idea how to rotate around.
Yeah.
See, the head's separate from the whole shoulder. This way, see how it's much more like a dance. Does that make sense, Jenna?
Mm-hmm.
So I can come back here and just see, did the sway get any different? But now I'm just going to quickly come on this side. Ah, right there. So now feel this, or see this, same spot. See, the whole back is just going, there's no way, lady. Because why? When she was a baby, she didn't learn how to do this. Because her hand was like this. She learned this,
Yeah.
but she didn't learn this. Now again, she's got degrees in, you know, education. It's not like she's delayed. Now this is a counterbalance. Notice how in this position she has not learned how to bring the shoulder behind the pelvis. There she goes. And again, I'm talking her through it as well as I'm doing it with my fingers, so she's responding even quicker. I could sit here and work on her and make her feel good, but the more she's learning about it, the quicker she can respond to my touch. So now just the difference. There we go. So now I'm going to come underneath the pelvis, just to add the sit bone to that. Again, now there's no difference of me rocking her like this than the baby was on its bum on the back. You see how I'm just looking to see that roll through the system? But now I'm going to reinforce this. the difference now. Now I can. So now, there we go. I can totally separate the head from the shoulder. And this is baby-like. See how there's no rhyme or reason? Shoulders one way, head's the other way. Same thing, I can free up. There we go. She's freeing up the head from the ankles, the pelvis, everything, eye function. This is a much higher level of eye movement. Because a baby, ball goes this way, eye goes this way, head goes this way. So where she can now, she can be here and look over to the left, be here, look over to the right, and she can do a much higher level of movement with eyes with her body. So now with that walk around.